Hey folks, welcome back to the Mr. Global channel. Today I want to talk about the struggle. The struggle. More and more these days, my wife and I are having conversations where we wonder how people in this country are just surviving in 2025 with food prices where they are, with utility prices where they are, with rents, mortgages. How in the world are people even surviving? It seems like, as someone like myself, I am connected to a lot of people through my social media presence, and that means they have access to me. They email me, they message me. I get more emails and messages and dialogue from people that I could possibly read, but I do read it. I do read what I can. And I'm finding it more and more difficult to hear from people because they're asking for my help. They're like, what do I do? How do I save money on this? How do I save money on that? I can't afford my electric bill. I can't afford to eat and pay my electric bill. Do you have any advice? And this is something I'm very, very sympathetic to as someone who grew up in poverty, and you know, my wife grew up in a single family home as well. So we've spent the vast majority of our lives in this exact same position that people are in now. And it's only, you know, in the last 10 years that we've had some financial cushion and some financial comfort. We're still middle class, but that only means that we can afford to pay our bills and we don't really have to worry about it, but we certainly have to worry about the future. We have to worry now, is our retirement even close? Like, we thought we were doing good, and now when I look at it, I'm like, I don't know what stuff's going to cost in 10 years. And these conversations occur when we get back from the grocery store or when it's time to pay the utilities. And you start thinking about, how long am I going to live? How much is this stuff going to cost? And how in the world are we going to survive when we're 70 or 80? You know, and for most people don't even have the luxury of having that conversation, because most people are probably going to be relying on Social Security and not much else. And this is all occurring at a time when in the future Social Security benefits are going to be decreasing as inflation continues to arise and the cost of living continues to rise. And it confounds me how, say, a family of and it depends on where you live, right? And you got a family of four, right? Two people with two kids. And let's say the house makes $100,000 a year between both people. How do they survive? How in the world is someone making $100,000 a year surviving in a household? Now, if you're single, you're probably much better off. But especially young people who tend to have more debt, who tend to have larger mortgages and car payments and more payments that maybe older people that have learned over their lives how to manage money better, or maybe have had more time to save money to purchase some things without financing. I honestly don't know how a lot of people in this country are surviving. And there's a lot of people in this country that are making significantly less than the number I just talked about. And the reason I brought up that number is because I've gotten so many messages and emails from people who make somewhere around there as a household, right? Not an individual, but a family of four, with the two parents making about 100,000 combined. Could be 90, could be 110, but somewhere, right? They're struggling. They're struggling. And it wasn't that long ago. If you made that kind of money, you weren't by any means rich, but you by no means did you have anything to worry about. That $100,000 a year mark used to be the mark where people would start bragging about how well they were doing. Congratulations. I heard you pulled down $100,000 in last year. Now it's like, man, I hope it gets better for you. I mean, it literally is. And understand, there's households making less than 50. And, as kids, we struggled, but it's much, much different now, because when I was younger, if you struggled a lot with money financially, you could find a way to make it happen. You could find a way to get those bills paid, right? That is becoming a thing of the past, because people are getting so far behind so fast and getting into such deep holes that can never get out of them. And to see the wealth inequality, and that's not something I talk about a lot, because I am a capitalist. But I think with capitalism comes responsibility. And I think the character of the capitalist is the most important thing to capitalism, right? You can be a capitalist and have the character to pay your people the money they deserve, to pay your people, living wages. If you're a billionaire capitalist, then your employees should be doing very well. They shouldn't have anything to worry about. Not if you're a billionaire. And, Bill Burr mentioned that recently and got a lot of heat for it. And I'm just sitting here like, who are these people? Who are these people coming down on him for saying the obvious? Why do you have to have more money than you can ever spend in your lifetime, and your kids and grandkids and their kids and grandkids could ever spend in their lifetime, on the backs of the people that work for you while they suffer? By the way, that is not the America that the people that agree with that is not the America that was great. That is not how America was supposedly great in those days. That's not a thing that ever happened during the time that people want to go back to because they think that's when we were great. In those days, a CEO might make somewhere around 10 times or 20 times what their average employee earned. We have CEOs these days that make thousands and thousands of times what their we have CEOs today that make more in an hour than their employees make in a month. And the income disparity and the difficulty and struggle and strife that is being placed on the middle class, the working middle class and the poor, is getting to a point where it's completely untenable. The question is, how do we fix it? We can talk about it occurring until the cows come home, this is a conversation that's going to continue to happen forever. You don't hear a lot of conversations about how you fix it. And that's what I would like to see in the comments section as well. How do we fix this? What are some things that can actually be done? What are some things that are practical that can actually be done? I don't know that I have those answers. I have a lot of answers, but the thing is, they're not practical. They're not things that I know can be done. Maybe I shouldn't be so pragmatic, maybe is the right word about these things. I don't know. Please let me know what you think in the comments section. Please like and subscribe. I really appreciate all my new followers. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thanks.